and he contacted me and he told me, you've got two different Lou Qs put together. These are not all the same person. So, you know, with Chinese names, that you have to be careful. I found out you have to be careful about this. You know, it would be the same thing. Maybe you have a Wang, you know, and Wang A, and you've got more than one person Wang A, or you have a Wang AL and a Wang A, and you've got to kind of go in and figure out if they're the same person or not. So get a bit tricky at times. But I'm reading this, my data file in to kind of just show you the example. But this is a big data file. While I'm doing this, other questions? Okay. If you don't have a lot of questions, that must mean that you're feeling fairly confident about what you're doing, which is good.
We have to go step at a time, Ajahn. Today we just finished on the Excel first. Vosviewer, we have not yet familiar.
Well, you're not going to do anything on Vosviewer other than the only thing you do on Vosviewer is run the citation analysis, right? For journals or sources, documents, and authors. I think that was it, wasn't it? What I was going to say also was that if you look here at the top cited documents, I've asked you to put that in a chart, but in fact, it would be much more likely that you would put that into a table. And in class next week, when we focus on citation analysis, you'll see why. So I only asked you to make this one and this one just for practice. But actually, for reasons that will be apparent to you next week in class when we work on it, you're really going to put these into tables, not in figures. So what I'm also trying to get you to do is begin to be able to see when you'll use a table, when you use a figure, what kind of figure to use, and so, you know, chart to use and so forth. Okay, so watch. If I go to citation analysis now, and I go to authors, let's see what happens. If I set my threshold on documents to 1, and let me just set this to 50, see what happens. All right, let me set it to 100. All right, so if you can see this, it says minimum number of documents authored by someone. I set it at the lowest level, 1. Okay, if you raise the threshold, then fewer authors are going to fit, right? But I'm just going to do 1 in order to illustrate what I was saying before. And I'm setting minimum number of citations of an author. So basically that means if you take all of the authors in this data set, we're going to identify all authors, regardless of how many papers they've written, who have at least 100 citations. Okay, so let's get that, and I'm gonna leave it at 921, which is okay, and I'm gonna go next. All right, now if I sort on the name, and I look down my list, going to go to actually, I'm not finding any examples at the moment. Okay, so here's an example. I don't know if you can see it. Let me make my screen larger if I can. No, I can't. Okay, over here is Albanese M, and Albanese MA. I guarantee you 100% that's the same person. If I go down the list, I'm actually going to find quite a number. Here's an Anderson MB. No, not that one. Anyway, there's going to be some number of those authors whose names have been cited with actually in different ways, even though it's the same person. So anyway, I'm going to show you in class next week how we manage that. Are you going to? You didn't show them how to use Tableau today, right?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. Are you going to show them today or another week?
Another week is fine.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, I showed you guys before. I put on the homework this file, and I said that you should actually fill in the research questions. Was that clear to you what you need to do? Yes? Okay, good. Right. I didn't want anyone confused about that, because normally actually we start with the research questions and then pick the analyses. But since I gave you the analyses, I want you to try to figure out what's the research question that this is answering. Okay. Chai, you have anything else?
Let me see in your class next time, and I suggest it. Maybe beyond Tableau, I might thinking of some additional tutorial for them.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay.
John Philip, I have a question. Just want to make sure the research questions that we are going to set it up, it should be related to the topics that we are doing or searching, correct?
Of course. It's your analysis. I mean, so if you, right. So what I'm saying, say that, for example, your topic was corporate governance. The research question for this analysis would be, who are the top cited authors in the field of corporate governance?
Okay, understood.
Boom. Yes. Is that clear? Yeah. You know,
yes.
and if your topic was corporate culture and sustainability, and you said, who are the top contributing scholars in the field of corporate culture and sustainability? Yeah, I mean, this is not rocket science, you know.
That's what I'm thinking. So it's very basic question that we see from the data.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
I'm not, you know, I was almost afraid that
we don't have to be so creative.
Yeah, yeah. No, creativity comes later.
I see ค่ะ
No,
so we don't have
no,
to think too much อาจารย์ that's what I want to make sure
อะไรนะ
that's what I want to make sure that I don't have to think too much
Yeah, well, you will later.
okay
But initially, I just want you to what I'm doing is kind of separating out the complex part where you have to generate the questions and the analyses, because when you do your own review, we're going to cover maybe 25 different kinds of analyses. I mean, if you think about it, right now the data in this file are addressing 6 analyses, right? But there are several more that were in the Scopus analytical tools that we're not addressing here. And then once you go into Vosviewer, there's, a lot more. So when you're writing your paper, there's not one set of analyses that are going to be optimal for everybody. It's kind of, you're going to see that it's going to depend to some extent on your literature. And so one person may do analyses 1, 7, 12, and 15, and 17 and 19. Another person might do 1, 2, 4, and so forth, different one. Just so, and that's where you have to be doing the thinking. But at this point, I'm trying to take that variable out and just have you work with the data. Because not everybody has, comfortable necessarily with that. So I'll show you for a second, just when we go to co-citation, one of the analyses that we might do is author co-citation. And you're going to have to also figure out what threshold to set. I'll give you some guidelines, but and then you're going to create maps of authors, and you'll have to figure out what's a good map, and you might have to run that analysis that I just did, 10 or 12 or 15 times before you come up with a map that kind of meets the criteria that we have for a good co-citation map. So this is ultimately what we'll be able to do in the software. And this again is another way of identifying influential authors. The authors with the really big bubbles, are highly influential. And the same thing goes for keywords. Keywords describe topics within your literature, and you'll be making maps that show clusters of keywords that with these different colors reflect sort of clusters of topics that are studied, that tend to be studied together. Then you can also do an analysis like this one, and the yellow topics, the yellow bubbles, are the ones that are being studied most. The lighter the color, the more recent. So there's lots of interesting analyses that you're going to learn, and you'll have to. One of the creative parts is, for my literature, which analyses are going to make the most sense, right? but we don't jump to that. We start simple and work towards that. Okay. Anything else? Okay. All right. Have yourselves a good week. Don't stress, and see you next week.
Start doing homework.
Yeah. Well, you probably have most of it done already. I stopped grading the homework, just going to focus on giving you the feedback at this point in time, because this is what we're doing now is really just procedural, and it's only to develop your basic skills. Later on, it gets more complex in terms of the interpretation and so forth. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
คุณชัยขอบคุณค่ะ
ครับยินดีครับ My pleasure
ขอบคุณค่ะ
And you know, as the term goes on, I may not initiate a lab on something, but if you feel you could benefit from one, just send me a note or tell me in class and we can set something up. I think Tong and Chat Chai are, as well as other advanced students, would be happy to share what they've learned with you. And it's also a good way for you to meet and interact with some of the advanced students, and you can see how their own abilities and thinking has progressed, and they can share that with you as well, not just rely on the John's. And actually, it's I think, as I said I think I even made that recommendation at the orientation to try and get connected with some of the more advanced students, and we'll try to set that up. But because they can tell you a lot more about the informal side of things, what you need to watch out for, and so forth and so on, that I can't. So or we can't. The Ajahns can't. Things like how to deal with us, Okay. Be well. Get some work-life balance. Thanks, Chai.
Thank you ครับอาจารย์
Thank you
บ๊ายบายครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
ขอบคุณครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ